Good evening, Shiv. Thank you so much for reaching out and connecting with me for this session today. And I'm very glad to meet you and be a part of this discussion. And I'm definitely looking for a very fruitful conversation out of this today. How are you doing?
Ma'am, I'm Fidas Fidel, doing great in my life. Thanks for your kind concern. And in fact, it's my lucky day that I got a chance to connect with a professional and proficient teacher like you. Thanks for connecting with me.
You're most welcome, and I'm glad that we are able to connect and have this conversation today. So, before we get started with our discussion for the day, why don't you introduce yourself to all the viewers who are watching us today and tell us a little bit about you and how you started your journey towards spoken English?
I would be more than happy to introduce myself, ma'am. So here we go. Well, my name is Shiv. I born and brought up in India, and my native place is Uttarakhand. By profession, I'm a central government employee, and as far as my academic qualification concerned, I'm done with my Master in English, Master in Commerce, and this year I'm pursuing my Master in Economics. This is my final year. In addition to this, I do teach English to beginners and intermediate speakers through different online applications, and I have my own YouTube channel by the name of English with Teachership. So that's all from my side. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. That is excellent. And I feel you are doing quite a few things together. And you are also working on YouTube. So I know how much work it is to, work on a YouTube channel and also manage the other things that you are doing. So that's a great thing. What inspired you to start off with your YouTube journey?
Well, that's a beautiful question, ma'am. Thanks for asking because there's a story behind it. Well, as I shared with you that I've been using some online application in order to improve myself. Altogether, I do love to help people who are very inquisitive and keen in order to master this language. So there were some students, they have requested me, sir, sometime when you create your own panel, we are not able to join your panel and we are not able to learn what exactly you were sharing with us. So they requested me, why don't you create your own YouTube channel and upload all this stuff there in your videos so that whenever we are free, we can watch and we have a great opportunity to learn from your videos. So that made me to open my own YouTube channel. And it's been only, man, 3 months I've started. So I'm totally tenderfoot and tired in terms of a YouTuber. But all I am doing, trying to share my knowledge and the things I have learned regarding English on my YouTube channel. Thank you, ma'am.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great to know. And it's so nice when your learners come up to you and they ask you to help you out in different ways. And in a way that pushes you or encourages you to do new things and try out new approaches in life, isn't it?
True, ma'am. True, true. I can see eye to eye your statement you have stated just now.
Perfect, wonderful. So Shiv, I'm very intrigued. Okay, I noticed that you have, uh, put on a very heavy accent, and you are communicating, with the accent as if generally communicate with people from US or UK. So what is the story behind the accent? I'm very interested to know.
Well, ma'am, I myself don't even know do I have any accent or not because the way I'm speaking is my own neutral accent. The day I started learning this language, since the time till now, I've been speaking the same way. And more or less, the story you can say, as I shared, like I used to use different application and still I'm using. So there was an application, Hello, and I was there and I used to talk with many native speakers from around the world, like from United States, United Kingdom, some of them from Australia, New Zealand, Canada. And I started talking with them a lot because I'm being fascinated the way they speak, the articulation, intonation, and the vocabs they use, and more or less their simplicity towards that language. Like the way they speak, so natural. It's
Yes.
something like melody to my ears. So
Mm-hmm.
I got an influence, a bit influence of the accent on my spoken English. Secondly, well, I've been practicing IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet, for last 1 year. And I, being a trainer, you better know that there we need to work on our mouth muscles, nasal sounds, like tip of tongue, and there are so many other stuffs which we need to work out with. So just because of these tools, maybe my way of speaking is a bit different from the way normal Indian speakers speak English.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so very interesting fact. Now I understand why you have, gotten that accent and why you have put on that accent. It is because you started speaking with native speakers. Now, one very interesting fact is this is definitely not neutral accent. It's a very heavy accent that you have, and it's a mix of accent. It is not specifically American. It is not specifically British. Okay, so when we talk about neutral accent, this is definitely not that. But the interesting fact is, although you have put on the accent, you have also put on the very fascinating way of speaking that the natives have, right? So when we talk about accent in India, we call it MTI. When Indians from different parts of India has a certain way in which they speak, right? Somebody from southern part of India will have a different way of speaking. So that's a geographical influence on someone speaking a third language, which is English. So when we talk about accent, we have named it in India as MTI. But when we talk about neutral accent, right, it is when you speak in a manner that you do not sound from any specific geographical region. That is what is neutral accent. Okay. So good. That is a very interesting fact that you started by talking to natives, and you have the good thing is you have inculcated that way of speaking where you are using a lot of idioms, where you are using a lot of phrasal verbs. So good job on that.
Thanks for your kind words. I will take it as a compliment. I'm really honored by getting some gratitude from your side. It means me a lot. You made my day. Thanks, teacher.
No problem at all. Okay, so tell me this, Shiv, what is your most favorite part about dealing with students and teaching them?
Um, that is evaluation, nothing else. I would say we all are very inquisitive and enthusiastic in order to master this language. But sometimes what I feel, most of us are running like a rat race, nothing else. We don't even know where should we work on and how can I improve until unless I don't even know about my flaws.
Mm.
So first of all, we need to evaluate ourselves. And there are three methods, whether you can do it by your own and on, by recording a voice. Second, you can take help of some mentor, some trainer like you. They can evaluate you like you are lacking with this particular step. Third, there are some website where you can answer some questions and you can get your evaluation result that where are you lacking and in which part of English you need to work on. So I mostly work on evaluation first whenever it comes to students because until unless I don't know what kind of problem he or she is facing in terms of holding and commanding on this language, I can't even assist them. So that's
Mm.
all.
Okay, yeah, that's a very interesting point, and it's true that it is important to evaluate your students and understand where are the areas where they can improve and they can be successful in their learning journey. So, good way of stating that. Okay, wonderful. So, Shiv, any questions that you have for me today?
Yes, ma'am, I do have lot in my plate that I want to serve you. So let me start my first one that I want to throw on you. I want to know from your side like how one beginner can speak English like you as you are speaking as a proficient way, as an eloquent way, in an impeccable manner.
So see, the point is it's not about how can a beginner can definitely not speak so fluently, right? So the work of a beginner is to start the journey, is to have that mindset that they want to go from point A to point B and then start working on it in an efficient and a holistic way. When I say holistic, it is important to understand that a lot of people nowadays promote this idea that it's very easy to speak in English or it's very easy to learn any language for that matter, like 3 days workshop, 5 days workshop. So to be very honest, it's important to burst that bubble that it is not possible in 3 days, 5 days, or 1 month. It's a journey that you are going to make, and that's how you will achieve success. Having said that, having set your mindset, you need to start engrossing yourself in the language, immersing yourself in the language. Now, how do you do that? There are different ways to do it. Number one, you start by listening to English. Now, when you start listening to English, you will start comprehending. You will start understanding certain words. You will start understanding certain phrases. You will start understanding the order in which a sentence is being constructed. Along with that, you also need to understand some basic grammar which is needed for spoken English. Now, people do two things most commonly. One is they feel grammar is not necessary at all, which is one extreme. And the other extreme is people start mugging grammar rules by heart, and then every time they want to construct a sentence, they are trying to recall, okay, now I have to use a modal, now I have to use this, now I have to use the perfect continuous tense. That destroys your English journey. So it is important to understand grammar goes hand in hand with your speaking. So if you are trying to speak, it is important to understand what are the important elements of grammar which are crucial for spoken English. Number one being your tenses. Tenses are very, very important if you want to convey yourself in a proper manner. Number two, you need to know your articles. And number three, the thing that, one thing that makes your sentence sound absolutely incorrect or ridiculous is use of incorrect preposition. So these three things, if you can understand and if you can start putting in words while constructing your sentences, you can begin your speaking practice journey, right? Now, all of these things must be kept in mind that they're not supposed to be done in different times. They are all supposed to go simultaneously. So if you set aside 1 hour a day that I'm going to learn English for 1 hour every day, then you have to take out 10 minutes each for each activity. Speaking, reading, writing, listening. That's why when you look at any training like IELTS or TOEFL, it will be always segregated over these 4 parameters, right? Because that's when you immerse yourself in the language and you start your journey. Now, one most important thing to remember is your journey has to be consistent. You cannot think that, I will take 2 sessions in a week, I will speak in English for half an hour, whatever broken English I know, and I will master English in 1 month. That's not going to happen. When you are taking a session from a teacher, I'm sure you being a teacher, you have also come across this. When a tutor is instructing you with certain exercises, with certain tasks that you need to do apart from your session, it is important to take that seriously if you are serious about your learning journey. So when you put all of this effort together, that's when you start growing from a beginner to an intermediate to an advanced level. So it's a journey altogether. It's not something that can happen overnight.
Wow, ma'am. I'm being flabbergasted, mesmerized, and dumbfounded at the same time. The way you elaborated every single concept of this language, you didn't left a single stone unturned. And I'm so impressed. More or less, I love your one point, the point you have made, like immersion. Honestly speaking, I do have complete respect for this particular point, immersion. Until unless you would not going to connect yourself with this language, you can't even imagine or expecting any favor from this language or your side. If you consider it as a friend, this language itself will consider you as a friend. So you have
Absolutely.
to fall in love with this language first. Yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And my second question for you, ma'am, if anyone wants to improve his pronunciation, so what
Mm-hmm.
are the best tips and tricks you have in your pocket that you can guide people, please?
Okay, so pronunciation, when it comes to pronunciation, the first thing you need to understand is to recognize if you have any speech defect. When I say speech defect, the most common one in India that is observed is the pronunciation of sir and sh. Some people are not able to pronounce the sh sound, right? So if you have any speech defect like that, the first thing is to work on that. Now, there are different types of speech therapy exercises, very simple exercises that are available, and you can refer to them and start working on improving your sounds, number one. Number two, when it comes to pronunciation, every word that you hear, right? If you are doubtful about any pronunciation, you should always listen to that first and then repeat immediately. If you are facing problem with one particular word, practice that repeatedly for at least 5 to 10 times. And then try and put that word in a sentence and practice like that. Okay. Another very good way to practice pronunciation is by a method called shadowing, wherein you pick any character from a movie or any person from a TED talk or any tutor that you are following. You take one of their videos and you play one line of what they said and you pause it and you immediately repeat it in the exact same manner that the person spoke, including their pronunciation, including their way of speaking. So this will help you in what? This will help you in not only your pronunciation, but also your voice modulation, the way you are expressing yourself. You will also get fluent with that. But if you have chosen someone who is from a native background, from US, UK, Australia, whichever, do not replicate the accent. That is important. It is like you getting rid of your Indian MTI, but then you are picking up someone else's MTI, which is their accent. Okay? So whenever you are repeating that, whenever you are doing shadowing, you should focus on pronunciation. Now, pronunciation and accent are two different things altogether. So pronunciation is something that you can learn from shadowing. Another way is if you are doubtful about any word, or there are a lot of times when I hear people say general words in very incorrect manner. For example, I heard someone saying hobby, Hobby, hobby. It is not hobby, it is hobby, right? When you hear it, when you are speaking to someone and when you hear a discrepancy that, okay, I am saying this in such a manner and the other person is saying in another manner, then either clarify it right at that moment. If you don't want to clarify with that person, if you are too shy or hesitant to do that, then make a mental note or a note on your phone or anywhere else of that particular word. And when you are alone, play that word and try and see if you are pronouncing it the same way as it is supposed to be. Okay? And then work on your pronunciation. So you have to be alert about your own pronunciation. You can also look for help if you are doubtful about anything. And you can also practice something called shadowing to work on your pronunciation.
Wow, ma'am, the steps which you have shared with me in terms of improving our pronunciation is literally magnificent and splendid. And it's quite worthy for us, especially those viewers who would watch this video. They are going to learn a bunch of things from this video. Thanks, ma'am.
I am
And
glad.
my next, yeah. And my next question for you is, I hope you have been talking to many co-learners and you also have faced this problem among your students that sometimes they keep complaining, sir, when I'm speaking English, my mind goes blank, totally blunt. Words are not coming, sentence formation are not coming, grammar is also stucking at some point, and like I'm not able to speak anything. And especially when I'm talking to someone who's better than me, I'm being hesitate or shy and quite demotivated. Like, how can I speak? How can I continue? I'm stuck at certain points. I
Right.
want you tell me that why this is happening and how one can get rid of all these problems. Yeah, over
Okay,
to you.
that's a great question. That's a great question. I feel it's a very common problem for a lot of people. And first of all, it's important to understand, and that's why I said a great question, because you asked, how is this happening or why is this happening? First, it is important to understand that, right? So, this is happening because of two things, okay? And interestingly, both of these things have nothing to do with English language. Number one, this is happening because of your mindset where you have too much of self doubt, you have too much of hesitation, and you are thinking a lot about someone else's perspective or judgment about you. That is what is causing you to become nervous. And that's when you are at a loss of words. Now, this is important to understand that it not only happens with people who want to converse in English, but also people whose native language is English. If they are also in an intimidating situation, they will also fumble and they will also feel at a loss of words. Now, this has got nothing to do with language. That is number one, you need to understand. So now comes the question, how do I work towards it? First of all, you need to understand you feel at a loss of words when you have no thoughts in your mind. Your thoughts are articulated in words. That's how your brain functions. That's how you speak and communicate. Now, if you are blank in your mind, if you have no thoughts, you are just nervous and you're thinking, oh my God, this person is better than me. What will I say? What will I talk about? And what happens if I say something wrong and the other person is judging me? Okay, that's when you feel that, okay, I have nothing to talk about. Now, given that person understands this and makes you comfortable, there are certain people around whom you already feel scared and intimidated by the way their personality is, right? Now, if the person tries and makes you comfortable, right? So Shiv, suppose you are, feeling intimidated, I would probably try and first have a quick conversation. Okay, Shiv, how's your day? What have you been doing since morning? And all of that. A little small talk. Then once you become comfortable, if I come back to the same question that was making you feel scared, you will now be able to speak a little. Because now your mind is not full of fear. It is now become comfortable and mellowed, right? So always focus on the fact so that you do not get nervous in front of anyone. One thing that I keep telling my students is do not get into that fear that what will happen or what will somebody think. Because what somebody else is thinking about you is not your problem. And even if the other person is thinking something wrong about you, that's not going to change anything in your life. Your life is going to be the same. It's not the end of the world. Once you have that in your mind, you can feel confident in any situation. Always ask yourself this: what is the worst that can happen? Whenever you are scared about any situation, ask yourself this question: what is the worst thing that can happen out of this? And then approach that situation and then start to speak. Now comes the point, how do you speak? Now speaking fluently, you need to have your thoughts aligned. Your thoughts need to be structured. So if I ask you about, suppose I ask you that, okay, what is more important according to you, education or financial independence, right? Now, suddenly, if I ask you this question, many people will get flustered and, okay, I don't know what to speak. I don't know, right? So always, whenever you are on the spot, understand this. There is a structure to everything. Whatever you speak, it will always have one structure that is called an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. So whenever you hear the topic, first say a couple of lines about what you understand about that topic. Just a couple of lines. You understand what is education, you understand what is financial independence. Talk about a couple of things about it, right? Then in your body, by the time you start talking, your thoughts will start flowing and they will start structuring. So then talk about what are the advantages of both, what are the disadvantages of both or whatever, and then conclude with a simple line. So that's all I had to say about this topic. And you are done. Now you can apply this method to anything that you are talking about. But very important to keep in mind that in order to be able to do this, you need to have some knowledge about what's going on around you in the world. You cannot be in your own shell. You have to have some knowledge about what's going on. So keeping yourself updated. I see a lot of youngsters, especially these days, they're only lost in reels. They will just watch what people are doing, like on reels, who is dancing, who is not dancing, what fashion and this and that. It's important to know about things that are happening in general. I'm not saying you need to be great with current affairs, but in general, what's going on? What are the top news that is going on? Today there is some issue, something has happened in Himachal. Yesterday something has happened in Wayanad. So these are common things, and you get all those notifications on your phone. You should take time out and keep yourself updated with at least a little bit of what's going on around you. And if you have this approach, then if you follow all three things, then there is no way that you will feel at a loss of word, or I don't know what to say, or I go blank. This will not happen to you.
Thanks, ma'am. You have solved all the puzzles which I have in my mind. Though I have a lot of more questions that I want to ask you, but as we can see, our time is not allowing us to continue the conversation. I guess this is the time that we have to wrap up the session. But frankly speaking, that I've enjoyed the session a lot because the session is so constructive, proactive, and fruitful. I've learned a lot of things from your side. Thank you for enlightening us with your vast knowledge and experience.
Thank you so much, Shiv. I also had a great time conversing with you. You had some excellent questions, and I also got to know some very interesting things from you. So, thank you so much once again for reaching out and connecting with me. And I'm sure in future we will be able to connect sometime again, and we will be able to talk about some more things about English language to help all our learners out there.
Sure, ma'am. Why not? In fact, I'm waiting very eagerly in order to connect with you again, and then on our next interaction, definitely I'm going to ask some different questions so that I will be able to help myself along with those viewers who are watching this video. So thank you for ma'am.
You're most welcome, Shiv. Thank you so much for joining. You have a great evening and take care of yourself.
Likewise, ma'am.
All right, bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Okay.